Hello, Dale Majors here, and in today's video I'm going to share with you a technique that I used to memorize a whole chapter of scripture last week. It was short, about half a page, but nonetheless I used this technique and it helped a lot. I'm also going to share with you the meaning and origin of the term in the first place. Alright, so a few years ago I read a book called Ageless Memory by Harry Lorraine. And it was awesome. It was a great book. I've read it a few times and I learned a few things from it that have really helped me remember things when I've been in a bind and I've needed to memorize something. Okay, so whether it's like locker combinations or, memorize text or memorize a string of numbers, it's been really helpful. There's like a mnemonic alphabet but today we're mostly going to talk about association. So, and I said that I was going to share what that term in the first place means, and Harry in his book talks about how in medieval times and back in the day when they didn't have phones and computers and pen and paper, they had to memorize things. So that was more of a status. So they came up with a lot of ways to remember things. And what they would do is they would choose like buildings, a cathedral, for example, where they'd maybe take the foyer and the lectern and the place where the priests prepare the sacrament and different areas in the cathedral, and they would associate different things to that place. So that's why they say in the first place this, in the second place that. So how you can use that is think about your home, for example. In my home, I've actually used my house and the layout of my house to memorize, for example, the Clifton Strengths Finder. The Clifton Strengths Finder test has 34 strengths, and everybody has them in different orders. So I memorized all 34 of my strengths in different order. And the way that I do it is I start at my door, typically, and then I associate the first strength with my door, and then I walk into my foyer, and then I can memorize things in my foyer. I go over to the little room in the entryway, and I can memorize things in the entryway. I go over to our dining room area. I can memorize things in our dining room. And an example of that is woo is my sixth strength. That means winning others over, right? It's a relationship strength. And to remember woo, I had come into my house, I'd gone to my foyer, I'd gone to my front room with the piano, and now I go to my dining room area and I see my dining room table, and that's where I say, woo, winning others over. I'm dining with a bunch of friends and I'm, making friends. I'm winning others over. So I associate woo with that. That's how you do it. And then I actually walk through the rest of my house, the baby's room and my room and the bathroom and the walk-in closet, and then the front room and the kitchen, and then my office. I go outside, I go downstairs, I enter the downstairs room, I go to the family room, and I can put different things in all those places. So if I have something really long to remember, I can say each piece and then go to the next room. So if you have like a 4-part talk, for example, you could choose 4 of your rooms and then associate each with your topic. For example, say that I'm teaching about memory and I want to talk about, in the first place, I want to talk about a memory device, and I want to talk about a game that we play to do that. I could say that was one of the first topics. I could go into my front room and look at my couch for one of them, and I could say, oh, there's a big device that's a memory device sitting on my couch. It's a huge thing. And then I could look at my piano and say, oh, that's a game that we play for that. And then I can look at the big painting on the wall, or the big painting that we have, and I could associate that last thing. So I go into my room, I look at the couch, I share about memory devices. I look at the piano, I share about games. I look at the other thing, and then I share about that. Then it's time to go, and then I'll go into my front room. That's how you use it. So another tip is to make things creative and memorable. So, in the scripture verse that I memorized, one of the words was embark. So that was a key word, was embark. And I imagined that I was standing on a big piece of bark on the floor. I stood on it. Oh, ye that embark. Boom. That's how you do it. So you want to be creative, and I'm going to make a few other episodes about, getting more creative with your memory, but that's one way to do it. You want to make sure that whenever you're memorizing, that it stands out, and that you make it creative and memorable. You also, another tip is to not put too many associations in one place. In the first place, you don't want to memorize 30 things in the first place. That is tricky, because then you get kind of it's confusing. So I would suggest, if you have a couch, maybe put one thing on the couch, or one thing on one side of the couch, then another thing on the other side of the couch. In the scripture verse, I was remembering in the couch, therefore, I remembered a big 4. There is a 4 on one arm of the couch, and then I said, "O ye," and there was an "O ye" on the other side of the couch. Okay, and then "O ye that embark," and then I'm standing on bark in the service of your God, and then in the service of your God, then I actually went over to the piano, because actually it was in the service of your God. See that you serve him. See, I look at my piano, and it is the middle C. That reminds me of the piano. See that you serve him with all your heart, mind, and strength, that you may stand blameless at the last day, So that's how you remember things. You look at the couch, you look at one side of the couch, the other side, something on the ground, you get pulled to the piano, and you use all these places as memory devices, or as memory associations. Another tip, and this is from when I had to memorize 6 booklets, and these booklets were, how many pages were they each? Maybe 10 pages, so it was 10 small paragraphs. It's probably 30 small paragraphs, and there were 6 of those books, so I had to memorize about 180 paragraphs. Was it that many? Maybe it was half that, but it was a lot of little paragraphs. This was before I knew this device. That's okay, but one thing that helped a ton was repeating it day after day. So you memorize something, and you want to go back to that thing and kind of cement it in. So it's almost like you've put it mostly in your head, but by going back the next day, you'll be surprised with how well you remember it, and then you can further practice it and ensure that you remember that thing. So I hope those tips were helpful. If you haven't, if you're new to the channel, follow along. We release videos 5 days a week that are all geared to helping you be a better person, reach your goals. So thanks for being here, and we'll see you next time.